Hi everyone, it's Catherine. I'm back with my third video, and for those of you who don't know me, I'm Airbnb's global head of hosting. My role is to help rebuild Airbnb's business, returning to a closer, more collaborative relationship with our community. It's been a pleasure to meet with many of you in our recent workshops. They've been an opportunity for me to learn as well as to see you face to face, even if not in person. And I continue to read all your comments and your feedback. I know you want transparency and you want action. And I know these videos alone won't do this, but I hope what they do is show you that we're listening, we're making changes and sharing with you how and why we're making them. Today, I want to spend most of the time on customer support. But before that, many of you have been asking how our business is doing. Well, I've got some good news to share with you. Since the pandemic began, millions of new guests from over 200 countries on every continent but Antarctica have booked with hosts on Airbnb. Thank you for welcoming them. These guests are looking for local escapes that are private and socially distanced, and they're choosing Airbnb, where many of them would have turned to hotels in the past. Now, I know bookings are still down for some of you, but we're seeing some new trends. And one of the most interesting is that people are starting to live on Airbnb for 1 or 2 months at a time. Work and school are more flexible for millions of people, and this is creating new opportunities. Since the start of COVID-19, guest reviews in the US mentioning remote working or work remotely have nearly tripled from the same period last year. People might be able to book accommodations on other platforms, but they can live in Airbnb homes thanks to you. Travel is no longer just tourism. It's about remote work, remote schooling, longer stays with family and friends. Travel, living, learning, and working are all blurring. This could create opportunities for many of you, and we want to help you best position yourselves for it. We have a great deal of insight, like how guests are filtering and what they're booking, which shows you just how travel is changing. So let me give you an example. I mentioned longer term stays. These are getting booked more because families are much more flexible with schools and work online. Many families have pets, and so we've seen pet-friendly homes being searched and booked much more often. And we share this insight with you. Now, I know not every recommendation is right for everyone. I recently spoke with a host named Tim who has 4 large dogs, and the last thing he wants is more pets. And that is totally understandable. These insights are to help you make decisions that are relevant for you as a host. I previously mentioned a new tab in the dashboard for home hosts called Opportunities, and this also offers real-time insights and recommendations for your area. We have more like these coming soon. Now, let's talk about customer service. This is the biggest frustration I am hearing from all of you. And so I wanted to give you more detail and insight. And so I've invited a special guest to join me. Tara Bunch recently joined Airbnb as our global head of operations. Tara, welcome.
Hi, Catherine. Thanks for having me.
Well, don't thank me yet. I am often on the receiving end of host frustration, and today I'm delighted to share that hot seat with you. But let's start with an easy one. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about your background and your role at Airbnb.
You bet. I came to Airbnb about 3 months ago from Apple, where I was the vice president of Apple Care for 8 years. Apple Care is the organization at Apple that takes care of all the Apple customers with all their service and support types of questions and issues. And now in my role at Airbnb, I oversee customer service, payments, trust, and safety, like party policies and guest standards. So I guess we have a lot to talk about.
We do. Tara, customer service, what's happened?
Yeah, a lot. It's been a really tough period of time. It's impacted hosts, it's impacted guests, and it's impacted our teams. The pandemic hit our business, just like our hosts, and we had to reduce our staff size by 50%. And to make matters worse, many of our teammates had to shift their entire work environments from their offices or our contact centers to a home environment. And so it took a while to really get that set up to a level where we were able to deliver the same level of service that we were able to do before. Then the business came back and came back much faster than we expected. In addition to more bookings, we also had higher cancellation rates due to all the changing travel restrictions. And so the combination of all those things, we ended up with a lot more questions that people had that we were able to handle. And so that's really been my biggest focus area since joining Airbnb, is to really fix that situation.
And so how are you trying to fix it? I mean, can you be specific with us?
Yeah, we're putting a ton of effort into growing our teams. After our staffing reductions, we were at about 5,000 support reps globally. And now we're on a path to ramp up to 8,000 by early November. We're hiring about 200 new support reps a week, and we're now close to 6,000. And we're seeing our service levels improve in every language every week. So we're on a good trend. And we expect by the end of September, we'll be able to handle most phone calls in under 2 minutes. In the meantime, we're also prioritizing the most urgent issues. Hosts and guests with bookings within 72 hours are getting priority phone support. And that way we're making sure that we respond to the most urgent issues and emergencies more quickly. And I know 72 hours, it isn't perfect, but we're trying to really prioritize people who need something in a really timely way and that are either about to take a trip or on a trip.
So Tara, on that point, 72 hours, I have heard from hosts that while they appreciate 72 hours, some of them need help, outside of that, maybe 5 days before. So what are we doing for those hosts?
Yeah, if you're outside of 72 hours, you'll be redirected to our messaging system. And we still have some delays there too, due to the backlog, but we're getting through it and reducing the backlog every week. We should be back to full strength by the end of September, and we plan to remove the 72-hour window at that time. And for our superhosts, we restored priority access for all superhosts this week. So you'll always be able to get priority access to our phones.
That's great for the superhosts. So I've heard from hosts, they have an emergency and they've complained that they cannot get through quickly enough when they have an emergency. What are we doing for hosts with emergencies?
If you have an urgent safety issue, our response times are really fast. We typically respond in 30 seconds or less. We've made sure our teams who deal with emergencies are unaffected and ready to help with any safety issues. We also search our messaging threads in our channels to catch any issues that maybe got lost in the queue. And we make sure to flag those and get them to the right channel as quickly as possible. Channels like chat, for example.
So can I just push on this a little bit? I am hearing from hosts that they have an emergency, but they can't get through. I mean, can you just explain a little bit more on that?
Well, emergencies are different from one person to another. It's possible that you have something that's urgent, but it's not an emergency or a safety issue. And that's why we're prioritizing people with bookings within 72 hours on our phone lines, since they're generally more urgent, or if you have a safety issue, it's typically happening while you're on the trip. So we feel like we're able to catch most of those types of truly emergency safety related issues. I know in some cases there are situations where someone is 4 to 5 days out and there's something urgent. And again, that's why we're augmenting our phone lines with chat.
Okay, so chat, can you tell me a little bit more about chat? Will people have to wait for chat as well?
Chat's a great channel that we've been working on over the past year, and you'll get a response in chat in about 2 minutes on average. We've expanded our hours of operation for chat in several languages, English, Spanish, Portuguese, and Mandarin, and we're continuing to build out more capability there.
So Tara, last thing before you go, can we chat quickly about payments? It's so critical if a host doesn't receive a payment. And I have heard from some hosts who've had delayed payments. Can you just share a little bit of detail of what's happening there?
You bet. There are no community-wide delays in payments, but there are a few reasons payments could be delayed for someone. First, we need to verify hosts' identities before certain types of payments go out to make sure that it's the right account and to minimize fraud. So here are a few examples. if you're a new host, we need to make sure that you are who you say you are before we make that very first payment. And for some payments, we do another verification if it hits a certain threshold. So people are booking longer stays, as we've seen, and so many of you are hitting this threshold a little bit more quickly. In these cases, sometimes we send a message to verify information with you, which can delay your payout.
Yeah, I know from some of the cases that I've looked into, the host hasn't seen the message. I mean, they can miss those messages.
Yeah, that's totally true. Hosts can miss these messages in their dashboard, for example, or sometimes the emails can go to a junk folder. And so I always tell people, if you've had a delay in a payment that you were expecting, go and check your dashboard or check your junk folder just to make sure you haven't missed something. And if you do get a message like this from us, respond quickly, log into your account and verify the information, and we'll get your payment right to you.
And have there been any other issues?
We do occasionally have technical issues like the one we had in July that affected some of you for a few days. We identified the problem and we quickly resolved it, but I know even a day or two is too much. And so our teams have gone back, understood what happened, and they've put additional monitoring in place so we can catch that in the future before it impacts our hosts. All that said, I know that the combination of having an issue like that and also not being able to get through on our phone lines probably added even more frustration to the situation. But again, that's why I'm really, really focused on getting our customer service organization back to the level of capacity that we need it to be.
Thanks, Tara. And is there anything else you want to share before you leave us?
Well, just like you were talking about earlier, how Airbnb is creating these incredible opportunities for families to travel and spend time together and go on adventures together and have all new experiences. My family experienced the same thing this summer. Early on, I was doing a long road trip from Los Angeles to Texas to visit family. It was in April, May, kind of right in the middle of all of the COVID restrictions, and there were no hotels open, no restaurants, and we just packed our bags and stayed in Airbnbs along the way. And it was really a terrific experience for our family. It was the first time I'd driven across the country, and it was really special. And our host made it so much more special. We felt so safe and at home and well cared for, and and for all those reasons, all of the incredible magic that hosts bring to the Airbnb experience, I want to do my part to really get support for our host community back to where it should be, where it's truly a differentiator and not a distraction. And I just want to thank all the hosts out there for your patience as we work through this, and look forward to doing a great job for you in the future.
Tara, thank you. And I know our hosts will really appreciate you joining and sharing more insight. And I will be continuing to grill you for updates in between these videos.
I look forward to it, Catherine, anytime.
Okay, thanks, Tara. Bye.
Bye.
I want to finish with one last thought. Over the last few weeks, you've escalated a lot to me and shared your pain points. Please keep doing it. It makes me better at my job to know what you're thinking about and what we can do better. I won't be able to solve every problem, but we are making changes to how we work together. I'm on the community center at Catherine Powell, and if I can't answer all of your questions or comments, I'll make sure someone on our team does. Please take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I look forward to seeing you in a few weeks.